the hands of and has been used in ways that Tesla never intended to be used. And this is what it's being used to do, to create a world that is basically on lockdown and under complete control. To understand how Tesla's technology was weaponized, we have to understand two main points of Tesla's experiments and research. And that is his experiments in vibration and resonance and his experimentation with scalar wave technology, which I'll get into in a bit. Tesla's experiments with vibration and resonance is this section, and Tesla is renowned for his extensive experiments with mechanical vibrations and resonance. In 1898, he was experimenting with an electromagnetic oscillator. Attaching the oscillator to a structural beam of his loft building, Tesla turned it on and began making observations and taking notes. Unfortunately, Tesla was unaware that amplified vibrations from the oscillator were traveling through the beam and into the substructure of Manhattan in all directions. Nearby buildings shook, windows shattered, and people poured into the streets believing an earthquake was taking place. Finally, realizing what was happening, Tesla smashed the oscillator and put an end to the experiment. Tesla later described another experiment he conducted with a mechanical oscillator about the size of an alarm clock. He attached it to a steel beam which was 2 feet long and 2 inches thick. Tesla described the results. For a long time, nothing happened, but at last, the great steel link began to tremble, increased its trembling until it dilated and contracted like a beating heart, and finally broke. Sledgehammers could not have done it, but a fusillade of taps, none of which would have harmed a baby, did it. Now imagine a steel beam 2 feet long and 2 inches thick. And Tesla broke that with a simple mechanical oscillator. He decided to take his experiments with vibration and resonance to a new level by attaching one of these oscillators to a steel beam of a partially constructed skyscraper near Wall Street. He described the experiment. In a few minutes, I could feel the beam trembling. Gradually, the trembling increased in intensity and extended throughout the whole great mass of steel. Finally, the structure began to creak and weave, and the steel workers came down to the ground panic-stricken, believing there had been an earthquake. Rumors spread that the building was about to fall. Before anything serious happened, I took off the vibrator, put it in my pocket, and went away. But if I had kept on 10 minutes more, I could have laid that building flat in the street. And with the same vibrator, I could drop the Brooklyn Bridge in less than an hour. This is with a simple mechanical oscillator. Tesla continuously touted the awesome potential of mechanical resonance. He once told newspaper reporters that, using one of his oscillator devices, he would be able to, quote, reduce the Empire State Building to a tangled mass of wreckage in a very short time. Pay attention to this part of the description, folks. First, the outer stone coating of the skyscraper would be hurled off. Then the whole vast skeleton of steel, the pride and glory of the Manhattan skyline, would collapse. The next part of Tesla's technology that we have to understand that has been essentially used in ways it was never intended to be used by the great inventor was scalar waves. Tesla was the rediscoverer of scalar waves. In 1899, Tesla rediscovered, today refer to them simply as Tesla waves. As a result of his Colorado Springs experiments, Tesla learned how to harness scalar waves from one transmitter to another without using any wires. Tesla later, of course, built a prototype of this magnifying transmitter at Shoreham, Long Island, New York. As we all know, Tesla's funding for this project was revoked after his main financial backer, J.P. Morgan, realized that Tesla's world wireless system would destroy his business profits by allowing people to tap into quote-unquote free energy at no cost. Tesla later discovered that scalar energy becomes modeled from the intersection of two scalar waves. Through interferometry, a technique of crossing scalar wave beams, large standing waves could be combined to produce a focused beam of extremely powerful energy. Several scalar waves sent from different transmitters could also be combined by this technique of interferometry to produce a plasma bottle of very high contained energy. This bottle or shield, it became known as a Tesla shield, could be moved around the planet at will, and the bottled energy could even be detonated remotely. If detonated in the Earth, an earthquake would be the result. If detonated in a building or a city, the result would be a violent explosion akin to a miniature nuclear explosion without any resulting radiation, which would disintegrate all matter within the quote-unquote bottle. And there's a newspaper clipping regarding Tesla's so-called death ray, death beam. Tesla's so-called death ray could literally project the energy of a nuclear warhead and direct it to any location in the world. Some say the massive explosion in Tunguska, Siberia in 1908 may have been due to a test of this technology. The force of the Tunguska explosion was estimated to have been 10 to 15 megatons. The blast flattened half over the rest of the world by weaponizing technology based on his research. After his death in 1943, the FBI and other intelligence agencies in the United States were actively involved in confiscating and suppressing many of Tesla's documents, including plans for his death ray weapon and his earthquake machine, deeming them top secret lest they fall into, quote, enemy hands. This technology did, in fact, fall into enemy hands of the United States government.